Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Just Following the Rules. This was years ago when I worked at a call center for a cell phone company working customer service. We were an inbound call center for customer service. On the floor there were several teams of like 10 to 20 people, each with a team lead. There was this one team leader who was always trying to overperform to get her manager's favor. They got bonuses for certain things, and the better her team did, the more she would make. Let's call her Shirley. I hated Shirley. Shirley was always trying to get us to do stuff beyond the job description to try to impress her boss. She always insisted on blasting crappy music right next to our cubicles to try to get us hype. Our job was to answer phone calls, and it made it very hard to have to try to hear customers with this music blasting. She also would be constantly shouting out metrics and just losing it when someone got a sale. It made it very distracting. My job was just a simple customer service rep, answering phones. Shirley was kind of like the main boss's pet. She could get away with doing things differently because she always whipped the team into overperforming and was very strict on the team to perform. She is the type of boss who would be staring over your shoulder, breathing down your neck, watching everything you are doing and criticizing every move. This was very patronizing to me as I was a top performer. I did not need to be babysat and caroled around. I knew how to do the job. I was put on her team at one point. She was driving us hard, making us do crazy things to try to get sales or improve various metrics, micromanaging the living heck out of us. I put up with most of it because I needed that job at the time. But one day she pushed me too hard. We were general customer service, so we handled billing issues, new service, account maintenance, etc. If you ever worked in a call center, you know there are a bunch of departments. We didn't handle cancellations because this was the retention department's job. If a customer ever threatened to cancel, switch providers or started mentioning other providers' deals, we were to transfer them immediately to retention. Retention was specially trained to try to curb cancellations. They were a higher level department than customer service and had special deals, discounts and promotions to try to work with upset customers looking to cancel to keep them. As customer service, one of our metrics is transfers. Keeps tabs on how many times each employee sent a transfer to another department. Getting too many of these looked bad, but sometimes was unavoidable. We are trained to own the call, to try to prevent transfers and resolve the customer's issues on your call, but certain situations are beyond the scope of my job. I simply don't have the tools to effectively do some things, such as retain customers and curb churn. Shirley wasn't having this though. I guess the team's transfers were high or something, but one call she was plugged into my headset listening as I work. Customer calls in super irate, mad about his billing. I am trying to work the call and review his account and discuss options, but nothing we can offer is satisfactory. He is threatening to go to another provider, which will get him a way better deal and pay off his cancellation fees. At this point, per our manual from the cell phone company itself, I was to immediately transfer this customer to retention in order to try to save his business. They had better deals than I was able to give, and it explicitly states in our rulebook to transfer them as soon as they mention cancellation. Well, where I worked, we did not work directly for the cell phone company itself. We were a third-party company that was contracted to do work for the cell phone company as our client. As such, as part of the contract, the cell phone company provides us with an online manual on how to handle situations and what we are supposed to be doing. If we are found to be not in compliance with how the client wants us to handle situations, it could be terms for the cancellation of the contract. This was a very big deal, because if the site lost the client's contract, it means everyone working that call center would be out of a job. So this customer is cussing and yelling at me about cancelling his service. Shirley mutes my phone and is telling me not to transfer this caller. She wants me to go above and beyond and do another department's job that I wasn't trained in and didn't have access to their deals or resources. Shirley used to work in retention and was saying she could show me how to handle this and save the customer and not get a transfer. I don't make enough to be doing 2 departments roles in one. Screw this. Plus, this customer was cussing me out. I'm done trying. I unmute the call and tell the customer I'm transferring him and transfer him to retention. Shirley loses it. Freaks out, storms off into her manager's office, determined to write me up for non-compliance. A few hours later, I get a notice that she has written me up, and I get the email to confirm my write-up for refusing to listen to her. Screw this, I did exactly as our rulebook states. I don't sign it. She threatens me by saying we will be having a meeting with HR by the end of the day because I didn't sign it. Whatever. We get into HR and they are pulling up the write-up and we are talking about it. Shirley is in the meeting with us, thinking I'm about to get fired. I always stood up for my rights and would challenge a lot of the questionable tactics she used as her team lead. She was excited. It was the day she was going to get rid of me, or so she thought. Well, HR is reviewing the situation. The HR lady said, well, in most instances we review the write-up and compare to what the policy is. Shirley says, he was disobedient and needs to be punished. He directly disobeyed my directions and transferred a call when I told him not to. I said, per our rulebook, provided by the client themselves, it specifically states to immediately transfer the call in this situation. You can find the policy on XYZ page. The HR lady said, the client specifically stated to transfer, and this is per policy. Since he followed the policy to a T, we cannot do anything here. So we are dismissing this write-up. Shirley then got her talking to from HR about compliance with the client's wishes and how disregarding this could cost the site a contract and everyone's job. Satisfying to say the least. She backed down and stopped messing with me after that, until I eventually got to transfer into another team. The next story is called Management Wouldn't Listen. I'm an electrician, but I will skip technical details to the necessary parts. Winter got us pinned at the office construction site. My colleagues needed heat to plaster walls, mix adhesives, etc. So as a site electrician, I was given the task of making sure there are enough large heaters. 30 amps each times 8 to heat 3 floors. There wouldn't be any problem if we had more power to use, or the cables were big enough, or tradies would turn them at half power at the end of shift. Here comes the malicious compliance. I knew that our transformer would burn down first if I did what management wanted. After 2 months of battle, arguing and giving alternatives, which came on top by the way, I gave up and complied. I told tradies to put these heaters on half power when they call it a day, and they more or less listened, while upper echelon ordered them to put it on max without my knowledge. It was arguably fine, despite my warnings about the heating of wires that powered these heaters. One day, after a month, at the union break, lights flickered. I thought it was just the fluorescent lights doing what they normally do. But I was wrong. 5 minutes later, I've got a call that our transformer is smoking. I opened the fuse box that was next to it and shut down the whole site, as wires, oil and insulation started banging. I've moved to a safe distance, called the fire department and energy workers. And when white smoke started turning black, I wanted to say, didn't I tell you, as I was crouching. It was burnt down completely. The next day we got a fuse box with half the power, and all but 3 heaters were decommissioned. As I was sitting in my room after the investigation, I was talking with the energy company. The reason? Power cables didn't have time to cool down and the cable entry points melted. That caught fire and the breakers didn't work. Not my fault, that's on the energy company. When the director learned of this, he ordered managers to ask me if it's okay to use anything that needs 3 wires. All in all, I became the person that's solely responsible in terms of electricity. The last story is called Take Out Your Earphones. Happened this morning. Even though I made a complete and full stop at a 4-way stop, I get pulled over by a police vehicle, lights flashing, the works. I turn my dash cam around to face me and whoever goes in front of the driver's side window. I roll it down and asked, what seems to be the problem, officer? The officer looks at me the way one would look at a sticky piece of gum stuck to the bottom of one's shoe. You didn't make a complete stop, he says. I adjust one of my hearing aids. Lost part of my hearing due to being a touring session musician previously. And before I could speak, he firmly orders, "Sir, take off your earphones when I'm talking to you." I take both hearing aids off and look at him. I can read lips a little, but we are both masked, so I can't understand what he is saying. I communicate in sign language simultaneously while speaking verbally. I am deaf and I didn't understand what you just said. Can you communicate to me in ASL, please? He points at my hearing aids that look like Apple AirPods, motioning me to put them on. I respond, "Yes, officer, without those I can only communicate in ASL. Please instruct me in ASL and I will be compliant in every possible way." He looks at the dashcam that's neatly pointed squarely at us and mumbles, "For F's sake." He then motions for me to go, giving me 2 thumbs up. Needless to say, I rolled up the window and drove away as fast as legally allowed. Couldn't wipe the smile off my face all day. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. And I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.